Okay, I have logged in here into the member portal as Abundant Life Christian Academy in Margate, Florida. And I'm going to be using their account today because they actually have access to all of our resources because they are a K-12 and a preschool. They are also accredited by ILCS and as well as Advanced Ed. So I'm going to use that account since it has the vast majority of resources available. The first thing I do want to point out is that you can add staff to this account, and staff will have access to what you have access to. The benefits of that is that they would also be able to access the Master Inservice Program. So if you have staff that are hold teacher licenses or certifications in any state, you can certainly add those by simply clicking this link here to add staff. I won't go through those details because it's pretty straightforward. First name, last name, username, and email is all that is needed to add a staff to your school. Once you do add a staff, it sends us an email to approve staff. That is just a measure to prevent spamming. So, but it can take 24 to 36 hours before your staff actually will have access to the resources. So be aware of that. I'm not going to go through all of the resources in the portal. We'll save that for another training. But I do want to show you really quickly that this forms list, obviously, you can see has changed. And a change of status form is a form that is utilized by schools that have a major change that has taken place, maybe leadership change, location, those types of things. And that is the form you would use. CE Tracker. And of course, you can access that resource here. We have another training on that available on this training platform that you can also review. Master Inservice and then accreditation application. The Master Inservice is what I'm going to click, and these are two forms associated with that service. But right now I'm just going to click on the Master Inservice and show you those components really quickly. And at the end of the day, it's really a series of three pieces. The Master Inservice Program is comprised of forms and a summary for the Master Inservice Plan, forms associated with the plan, which is what you want to be most familiar with, and then the Master Inservice code listings. And that is the list of codes that we utilize to determine whether a training can be approved by our association. Now, I'm not going to get into any of these details here. These are the details of the actual plan, and you can read that in your own leisure. It's not long, it's not difficult, but it lays out the guidelines that help us determine whether we will approve an in-service activity. It's not a bad idea to be familiar with that so you understand what we would approve and what we would not approve. Very important. And then here is the forms page. Now the forms page actually goes through the forms that are associated with the plan. There are A forms, there are B forms, and there are C forms. And we will go over each of those very briefly in a very brief video in just a few moments. I will suffice it to say that A forms will be utilized by any school that is doing a training within their own school by their own staff. And those are the forms you want to be familiar with. The B forms are going to be for any training that your staff or you receive outside of our association or outside of your school, meaning you went away for the training, or you went online for a training, or you took a course or something that was not affiliated with our association. And then general forms have to do with the actual program itself, maybe adding a component with removing a component and evaluation information. And we will not look at those in any real depth. So we will take a look at those. And then the last thing I want to make you aware of is the actual component codes. And I will download these really quickly for you to see. But these are the actual kind of heartbeat of what we approve and what we do not approve. These just went through revision in 2014. And you'll see that full list here available for review. Now, to understand the structure of this, it's really relatively simple. You'll see that the 5.01s, for example, are based under the heading of basic programs or unclassified programs. And within that is the actual component number. And these numbers here are the component numbers. Those are the numbers that go on a very specific part of the form that you will see when we look at that. And then, of course, this is the description of that training. So you'll see, for example, biblical worldview. Where do we keep that under? We keep that all under component code 5-01-12-5-00. The actual component code has a structure that's approved by several states. We won't really go into any of those details, probably really irrelevant in the big picture, but it does follow a certain structure, 5 being a category, 01 being a subject or a course area, and it goes on from there. So that's what that's based in, and you can look through this. There are actually several pages of codes. Some of them are administrative in nature. For example, you get down to the 7s, school level management. So classroom management and discipline, you'll see the categories obviously stated, and you'll want to keep this list on hand for quick reference, because that is the list. That's, like I say, kind of the heartbeat of what makes this whole program work, is what the component codes are utilized for. So that is, in its simplest version, that is the program. What we're going to look at in our next trainings, we're going to look at how to utilize the A forms, and then we will have a quick video on how to use the B forms. And once you understand those two pieces, you will be on your way to utilize the Master Inservice program. I also want to say that if you want to add a training to the CE tracker that's not up there currently, these are the forms that you will utilize. We used to have that opened up where teachers could just add workshops, and we had two issues. One was we had basically 35 teachers all adding the same workshop from the conference. So when other teachers went in and tried to select one, they didn't know which one was the right one. That was problematic. And then, of course, we had some teachers that had different CEU values. Some was 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It was a little bit all over the chart. And then we had some teachers that were adding some workshops that we simply would not approve for renewal. And so they got to the end of their licensing period and thought, because they put it in the CE tracker, that it was approved, and it was not. So we've tried to narrow this back to what we have done for almost 30 years, using the Master Inservice plan for the submission of that. Basically, you submit the form to us. Once we approve it, we load that in the CE tracker. And honestly, this usually happens fairly quickly, 24, 36-hour turnaround for the approval of CEUs. So that's where we're going to start. I hope that's helpful for you. If you have any questions, why don't you put them down in the course material. You'll find a place to put questions down in the bottom forum, and we'll be happy to answer them for everyone so that they can see the benefit of that question as well. So we'll see you on the next training.